Hey guys, how you doing? Welcome to the Centre Bounce on today's cheeky little Friday night live stream. Just thought, hey, I've got an hour and a half before the first game today. Well, the only game on Friday. So, yeah, here to ask your guys questions, here to help out with any trades, any ideas, things like that you guys might have. Love to be a bit interactive. If you guys want to jump in on the comments, happy to look at some people's teams potentially and just have a bit of fun. Hello, everybody. Joel, how you doing? Happy Friday, Big J. Mate, I haven't seen you for a while, and that photo is fantastic. I think I've said it before, but I have one similar. Joel, where did you go and do skydiving? I went and did it up in Gold Coast. Is that where you did it, or did you do it somewhere different? Let me know. Corey, the man with boosts left. It's round 9, boys and girls, and Corey has like 4 boosts left. So very happy for him at the moment. His team's going to fly. Is it okay to hold Flynn as it gets me 4 rookies on field? If I trade him this week, I have 5 on field. Now, the big thing with Flynn, yes, BJ Williams is named. Yes, he did not have the best game last year. But I'm okay with holding Flynn. Currently, I have Flynn in my team. Give me 1 sec. I'll show you what I'm up to with my side. And yeah, I'm more than happy just to hold him for this week, see what happens, get a bit of an assessment. We may even just... Oh, that's my team. 1 sec. So I've got Flynn on field down the bottom here, still in the flex from last week, the same thing. I'm more... I'm happy with keeping Flynn, to be honest. The team sheets have come out. We know what's going to happen with the teams. West Coast, look, I think when Flynn plays the solo ruck, maybe it gets a little bit tired. Maybe he gets pulled along to different places and whatnot. So, yeah, I'm more than happy to have him as the solo, well, as almost the solo ruck. BJ Williams is not a bad player. Where is stats? AFL stats. I think BJ Williams is actually okay as a player. And he's decent enough in the forward line as well. So, like, it's not terrible. His stats are not great, but his averages are okay. I'm more than happy to hold Flynn. Corey, I think holding Flynn is okay. Rottnest Island. Oh, I've been there too. Based out of Perth, I used to live on the Gold Coast prior to 2020. Nice. G'day, mate. Williams in, so Flynn out. What are the options if Boxall sub worth taking a punt on Poo-Poo? I think Poo-Poo is going to be okay. I think he's definitely going to be best 22. I mean, a lot of us had him in our sides and whatnot compared to, the start of the season. Boxall is one. So what's hurt a lot of people recently is the bringing players in that aren't on their bye. So a lot of people have, like, what's Booslinger? What's his ownership at the moment? So he's in 8% of teams. 14,000 people brought in Booslinger. He did okay in the first week, got subbed last week, and then, hey, like, now he's not even named. So I'm a little bit wary of bringing in these type of players that aren't, like, on the bubble, because you just know that, hey, you're not going to get a huge amount of points. Even I brought in Sandy Brock this week. It facilitated myself to get Lockie Neal, which is fine, I think. If Brock makes 40K, I assume he's going to score more than a 35, you'd hope. If Brock scores like a 50, cool, goes up by 40K. If he becomes a dead rookie, he becomes a dead rookie. But at least I've made something, and it's boosted my points on field. I'd rather do that than bring in Boxall, cool. St Kilda's midfield gets a lot better, and then he doesn't play. So we need downgrade options for next week. Lorenz is not being named. Boosling has not been named, so the limited options for next week there as well. I probably wouldn't go Boxall, I would say. Cool, Boxall potentially next week. And if you look at my team, I've got Sheasel here in the midfield. Was considering getting rid of a Bice next week. So Sheasel goes to the back line, means I can grab a Boxall here. And that kind of works. Or potentially a Boxall here in the flex position, depending on what's happening. So, yeah, wouldn't go early on him. Definitely waiting to see what happens. Rookie shortage this week, mate. There is. I think there's one player who's debuting who's going to be on the bubble, and that's Sandy Brock. I know Jefferson from Melbourne is in a similar position as well. Let me do a quickly check. We can have a look. Yeah, there's not. Forget about that. There's not many. There's not many at all. And we went into this week having Lorenz, having a bunch of players potentially on the bubble, and now no one on the bubble. So, yeah, it's interesting. I think Flynn drops back as an intercepting defender. Well, there you go. And if that's the case, mate, all for it. One of the things that drew me to Flynn in the first place was the fact that he does a lot of around the ground, and his contested marking is not terrible. So I would be like, hey, if BJ takes a little bit more time, but that means that Flynn can roam around and do different things, perfect for that. So, yeah, I don't think it's as negative as it could be. Flynn may just get dragged down and get fatigued versus Nank 100% of the time if there's just one-on-one for playing rucks. So, yeah, I don't mind it. VC Clark after the 58, mate, you are bonkers, Corey. You are absolutely bonkers. If you guys want me to have a look at anything up on here as well, just let me know. I'm happy to check out some players and whatnot. I probably should have gone Brayshaw. Was considering Brayshaw for the whole time. Ended up going Gorn because then I can go into Lochineel versus North Melbourne. So kind of worked out that way. Stuart. How you doing, Stuart? Sometimes it's an advantage not to do trades for a round. Oh, 100%. I think a couple of weeks ago, it definitely would have been that kind of situation. But I do think at the moment, it's the people who can get to a full primo team quicker are the ones that are going to survive and do quite well, especially at the moment with so many players being around that cheapo price. So what I sometimes like to do, if you guys haven't used FootyWire before, it's a really good website. Just here on the left-hand side, you go down to season player rankings, SuperCoach season player rankings. And then you can kind of look at everybody. And there's a lot of players around this 500K mark that are still very cheap and are still going to be very, very good for us in SuperCoach. The perfect time to start upgrading your players is between round 6 and 9. We've said this before. Heck, it's come into round 5 and 6 because of, round 0. I would be looking to do some upgrades now. And then maybe throughout the bye rounds, you don't do an upgrade. Maybe round 12, no upgrades. But it could be the difference between you having 2 or 3 primos less than everyone else in a couple of weeks, or similar to a few of these type of players, heck, missing out on not bringing in Lockie Neal this week. The guy goes 150, heck, and then he's now like 30K more expensive, and you can't afford him next week, for example. Or the people that got in Cherry last week at 585K, if they had waited, cool. All right, then we're in a lot of trouble. So sometimes it's great. I think don't force any trades if you don't have to, which is the right idea. But right now, the crucial time where there's a lot of players who are very cheap, a lot of primos who are very underpriced due to bad games in the first couple of weeks, I think it's probably a good idea to trade if you can. Would you rather Flynn or Pepper? I have traded Pal Pepper this week. Uncle Akka, I think he's the one to be traded. He's playing Adelaide at home and does score quite well at home. So his break even, I believe, his break even is one second. So break even of 69, projected a 79. I think he'll score around this. He might even score a 7 and 85 potentially, just how he is. I don't think Adelaide's defense is going to let him off the hook that much, though, compared to some other teams. He does score well at home. But just the fact that he's 397K allows you to do a lot of stuff. And I think his around the price that he's going to be for now on, I think Flynn could have a bounce back game and then no dramas. The thing with Flynn, he plays Richmond. Richmond give up a lot of points to rucks. Just them being a poorer team means that he should score okay this week too, regardless of BJ Williams in the side or not. But if you look at some of his scoring, Witts dominates rucks. Sammy Draper, very, very good against rucks, but he still scored quite nice. Lloyd Meek dominates opposition rucks. They kind of just bash him. And Hawthorn smashed West Coast. Like, or triple points or something crazy. And then he played Melbourne and max scored and scored 180. So as his fixture starts to open up a little bit more, I can see a lot more in projections. If we have a look at some of his things, cool. Against Nankervis, I think he's going to score more than 100, score more than a 73. Let's pretend he scores 100 this week. Does some stuff around the ground, gets a few intercept marks, whatever it is. Against St Kilda, cool. Let's go 95 against Roma. Maybe he doesn't beat him in the ruck contest, but does some other things. Against Adelaide, okay, scores an 85, for example. If we go Geelong, well, they don't really have a capable ruckman. Let's go 110. It's doable, right? Project, cool. Now he's jumped up an extra 50K. And you look a bit silly for getting rid of him. I'm okay with keeping him for right now. In my team, I'm not sure about your team, but in my team at the moment, the cash from a Matt Flynn plus someone in this M8 position equals a primo. So I want to make a little bit more. It's an 80 or a 90 on field. Hopefully, after this week, we'll reassess for next week. But it's some extra money there that I currently can use for other things. So give you a bit of an idea. I think Palpepper's probably got to his max price. If he comes out and scores a 150, well then, hey, egg on your face. But what can you do? This year's better hold Rit, 100%. 100%. It's one of the things that I think I've done quite well in certain respects. Kept Reed, kept Trainer, both. And I got roasted on Discord for this, right? But one of the things I like to say is if your rookie on a good day can score as much as a primo on a bad day, then it's okay to keep them. That's been my philosophy the entire time. Kept Cal Pepper through the thick and thin because his good games equaled players' poor games. Kept Ashcroft through the same thing. Kept Zach Reed through the same thing. Kept Trainer through the same thing as well. It means I'll probably keep Hustwaite for a little bit longer as well. If we look at some of these players, heck, I'll use this weekend as an example because every week there seems to be a player or two that this happens to, right? Nick Dacos got tagged. Things happened. Scores a 76. Cool. Last week, Reed and Trainer, Ashcroft, a bunch of other players outscored Nick Dacos. It just points and scoring on field. It might be a little bit confusing, but it's okay not to be forced to trade these players. Sometimes it's nice to keep these rookies who are going to be making you a little bit more money versus, hey, if all my rookies scored well and I've got Adam Cherry here and he's about to dump in price and I want to upgrade him and I identify, hey, look, he's probably not going to be a keeper for me for the season. Change him, upgrade him, do something. You're not forced to just upgrade a rookie every week. Sometimes it's okay to get rid of the players that aren't going to be keepers for you in the season if it's the right time. Hence why a lot of people got rid of Oliver last week. As long as you're upgrading points, I wouldn't go Chera downgrade. I wouldn't go and bring in someone dodgy for a Chera. I would be like, cool, Chera now, let's use him as an example because he was one that I potentially was going to get rid of before I did the other trades. Cool. Chera, 500K, scoring 100. It's okay if I trade him out for someone better because my overall points on field are going to get better. So just a bit of a mindset there. A few of these guys definitely are big keepers. I wish I had kept a Reed. Sorry, I wish I had kept a Hewitt. I think I ended up trading Hewitt for Clay Hall, and then Clay Hall got dropped. Gross came in, ended up being the sub. Could have got Hewitt. Messed up a little bit there, but yeah, just a few of these type of players. A lot of people traded out Zach Reed when he had that poor game. A lot of people traded out Trainer, the same thing as well. Let me just quickly check. When did Trainer have the poor week? Season stat. Yeah, a lot of people traded out Trainer when he was the sub. I think, he's going to be the sub forever, whatever happens. And then they've missed out on a bunch of money, and he's going to jump up in price this week as well. So similar to a lot of people traded out of Zach Reed. A lot of people had Pal Pepper round 1, scored a 12, and then jumped off him. So, yeah, a lot of people got rid of him after the 38 versus West Coast. And then now he's made 80K and he's going to fly up, probably be 400K. Potentially a keeper for the year. Especially, he's so clean. His ball use is bloody fantastic. So, a lot of people keeping him at the moment, especially with no Ridley in the team. And he should get a few more of the kickouts and stuff this week because there is no Ridley. With I think it's Haynes has come into the side. So sorry, Lewis Hayes has come into the side. So yeah, it should be an interesting one there. Ralphie, how you doing, mate? Big J, which one to trade out, SPP or Flynn? I think I've kind of covered this from the comment before, but I think Pal Pepper is the one. Has made as much money as probably he's going to make. Yeah, he could come out and score another 80 or so and get you another 20K, but just being 397K, allows you to downgrade someone on field and get a primo in. I had 500K left at the start, so I had 50K heading into this week. I managed to go Kako out, Pal Pepper out, and grab Lockie Neal and Brock. So just around that really nice price means that you'll be able to do some stuff and figure your team out. So start to thinking about, hey, these guys are 400K. Cash gen this year is insane. Just for the fact that these players on field are scoring so much and are jumping that high in value, just upgrade. It's okay. I think Flynn has a while to go there. But more of a reassessment this week after playing a weaker opposition for Flynn. Thanks for that. There you go. Jefferson, a higher break even due to get injured versus North. Yep. Has a 0 in his system. There you go. Happy Gross is back. At least some cash gen on the bench. Gross is back. Potentially the sub, but hopefully not. And then Ben Patton is back, Kai. Good old Ben Patton. And I'm waiting for the teams as well because there's a little bit of a talk that potentially a Kerno or someone may be a late out from Carlton, which could mean Matthew Carroll comes back in. So just waiting for the next however long for the game. Hopefully you guys can keep me in the loop. Potentially someone may be out. Carroll comes back. Hey, presto, we now have another playing rookie. So the bench cash gen looked terrible. It's not so bad at the moment. But the beautiful thing with this, similar to Pal Pepper, if you had kept a couple of these cheaper players that now became, semi-primo, at least, 100K to a primo value, all you need is a little bit of cash gen. Like Kako averaged like a 50, and I've offloaded him plus a 390K player for a premium. There's a lot of value in this midfield at the moment, and you can get a lot of really good players scoring quite a lot for very cheap. It's just about making sure that you've got a few of these really big boys, because in a few weeks, Bontempelli, like you want to have your midfield and start to plan your midfield where you can actually, hey, I've loaded up with guys who are going to be top 8, top 10. That's kind of the way to go. Also got Brock and Neal. There you go. Big 40. Yeah, same for myself. I'm hoping that Brock in some world ends up keeping his spot, but we'll see. What defense primo should I get? I have Whitfield, Zorko, Sheasel already. Price doesn't matter. Potentially you could get, if I just have a look over here, we'll look at the rankings for defenders. I really like Nazaya. One thing to worry about with him at the moment, like really good buy round for Nazaya. I think his break even is somewhat high though. Here we go. So break even of 123. So potentially he can match that as well. I know he's still got a few more games at Marvel over the next couple of runs and has a really good buy round. So potentially he could reach that. I mean, he's got pretty close / got over it already versus different oppositions. So Nazaya at 563K is probably the one that I would look at. I could say, hey, go and get Sinclair. Where is Sinclair? But I think Sinclair's not as good of a value at the moment. Still has a fairly high break even. So 131. So overall, Nazaya has been scoring a lot more, has been taking a fair amount of the kick-ins as well. Give me one sec. Let's have a bit of a look. Kick-ins for St Kilda. Yeah, so Sinclair taking 2 kick-ins, 1 versus Freo, but Nazaya, I think, has been doing quite well. So I would probably say Nazaya is the one if you can afford anyone. Good buy round as well, so could carry you through the backline. I think Sinclair has a bit of money left to lose, and look at his scoring in the last 3 weeks. It's been dreadful. So Sinclair is named in the backline this week, as opposed to other weeks where he's been named here or named in the followers. A bit more of a midfield role, so we'll see if that holds. But yeah, I don't think that's going to worry him too much. And for those people that are saying Boxall potentially sub, I can see a world where O'Connell is sub as well. I think he was last week, or at least 2 weeks ago when he came back from memory. But that leaves a defender out of the mix. So maybe O'Connell stays and then one of these guys who aren't defenders go in there. Jordan Clark, D1. Mate, Jordan Clark, it's weird with Jordan Clark. When he goes big, he goes big. When he doesn't, he doesn't. And last week was definitely a thing of that. When they're not a free-flowing game, Jordan Clark really struggles. So it works quite well, but he does have a 2-round average of 100. So thanks, no dramas there. But upgrade Flynn now or hold him potentially. I don't have DFS paid, so it might be a little bit of a different type of question, but I'm happy with holding him. If it means you can do something else on field and grab a better player, I'm okay with holding him at the moment. What is Marshall's break even? Is it going to punish you too much for not owning him? Okay. So he potentially could jump up quite a lot. We might get him at 500K next week. But Marshall, who else in Kilda playing? They're playing TDK. Okay. I would say keep Flynn. I'm a keep Flynn kind of person at the moment. If you can grab someone like a Lockie Neal versus a North Melbourne, I always tell people at this point in the season, it's partly why I'm getting higher in the ranks, start to play matchups a little bit more. So Flynn, if he plays, is probably playing a bottom 3 team as well. You'd hope he'd do okay against Richmond. Neil plays North Melbourne, bottom 3 team again, unfortunately. Should dominate. Rowan Marshall, it's going to be a good game tonight, and it's great to laugh and be like, hey, Rowan Marshall, but he might not go 160 this week. So a Lockie Neal type may. You'll lose money either way, but it's nice to bolster this midfield because look, these type of players are going to be 600K plus in like 2 weeks. Marshall, cool, he ends up being 550. It's a lot easier to get 550K than it is to grab 650K. So, DB, what are you doing, mate? DB, I think you're a bit nuts. Rank these rookies to bring in this week. Well, only one of them is on the buy. So, only one of them's on the bubble. I like Saad. The DPP's nice. They're bringing him into the team. I probably wouldn't touch Boxall or Fonte this week just because it gives you someone to upgrade into next week. Saad probably has the best job security. Then in terms of ranking, I would probably go Brock. He's going to make some money this week, hopefully. Job security is not great, but at least he's on the bubble. Imagine if you brought a Fonte or a Boxall in and one of them gets dropped, you're in trouble. I think Fonte might have the better job security, and out of him and Boxall could be a better selection for this week. So GWS like him a lot, and then Boxall's the one there. So Fonte, Saad, Boxall, Brock, but I like Brock because he's 99K. He's going to make a little bit of money. And in like 3 weeks, if a defender comes in the mid-season draft, we still make a bunch of cash off Brock. So, yeah, we'll see. West Coast have some interesting things happening as well with Oscar Allen and stuff playing in the back line. So potentially if one of those guys go into the forward line, maybe Brock has a little bit of a better job security. We'll see. Mick Walter is playing around with the team. Field, Lindsay, All, Hall. I assume Max Hall. Max Hall, St Kilda play Carlton. It's interesting. Can you loop, Jack? If you can loop, then fantastic. If not, then not. I don't want to hurt you too much. I like Max Hall. Go Max Hall. Lindsay has struggled a little bit, and I think he's named on the wing this week again. Yeah. Struggled a little bit off the wing. So, yeah, I think maybe Hall is the better run. Hall is named on the bench, but it doesn't really matter too much. So, yeah, I like Lindsay. Sorry, I like Hall. With Viney dropped, I'd say Lindsay, but then again, he hasn't performed. So, yeah, and there you go. If in doubt, one thing I will say, if in doubt, pick the higher average. Unless there's been a massive change in a team, just pick the higher average. It's okay. Hence why I've got Hustrate as the follower versus Lindsay this week. Like, the more established player, but has been pumping out 80s and 90s. So I'd rather keep him on field just in case. Not interested in Warner. I think the way that my team has been at the moment, I'm almost feeling like I'm a primo behind in a lot of areas. I think Warner's going to be fantastic. I'm a little bit worried with Sydney, what happens in terms of guys like Mills and some other players coming back. I'm thinking Essendon. Brad Scott's not a stupid coach. He's not a great coach, but he's not a stupid coach. He's going to put some attention into Sydney. He knows that Warner goes off the rails and is the number one at Sydney at the moment. So you'd hope that they have some form of run with tag with him. I'm not exactly sure on Warner's stats at Sydney versus at Marvel and other places as well. But yeah, I just can't afford it. And it's more about this year, Michael, seems to be a little bit more about not about grabbing the primos at the right time, but offloading your players and your team at the right time. So if I looked at my team right now, let's pretend I had a boost. I looked at my team right now. I've still got Ashcroft. Ashcroft has a super low break even. He's in my forward line, super low break even if SuperCoach decides to load. He's going to make me a bunch of money, plays a worse team this week. There's no incentive for me to get rid of him. The only one potentially I could get rid of is Caleb Daniel for a Warner. But my round 12 buy is actually really good. What did it do? I did not press optimize. My round 12 buy is really good. So there's no pressure for me to get rid of a Daniel either. I'm not in the camp at the moment of, hey, we must trade Caleb Daniel. He's not the worst player I've got on field either. So there's no pressure for me to get rid of him. Warner's going to be like 520K next week. Cool. If I have to bring him in then I have to bring him in. If other players crap the bed and then I have to bring him in, fantastic. I've got some money here. Potentially I can go a Flynn plus some cash into a Warner. So it's not a must-have for myself. I think he's a fantastic player. Obviously, he's scoring really well. Super low break even, really high average. Let's quickly check. Yeah, super low break even, high average, going to be like 5-10K potentially next week. So it's not a must-have. I'd rather fix the team and add more points overall than force a player in that potentially changes things up. Yeah. What's your thoughts on Holmes? No Bedford tag this week and then doesn't look like any tags. Yeah, I really like him. If he doesn't have the injuries for a little while, I think he'll be fine. Guys, post some more comments as well. I'll probably be on for the next 40 minutes or so. So really like the interactions. It's been quite good. We've got 79 people watching and like 5 people commenting. So more than happy to jump in, have a chat, whatever you want to do. Thoughts on Holmes? No Bedford tag this week and then doesn't look like any tags for the next 3 or 4 weeks. I really like him. I think, as you say, Smith coming in and dominating as much as he has. One of Holmes's greatest strengths in my eyes was the fact that he was used quite a lot in the back line, the forward line transition. Seems like a little bit that with Bailey Smith coming into the team, that has gone away. He will have massive games, no doubt. He will have massive games. But I think at the moment, if you want to get him in, get him in. What is his break even? Okay. He's still going to lose some money unless he goes like 160 this week. He's going to lose a little bit of money. I wouldn't be forcing the trade. I think he'll be okay. Like, I think he's going to be potentially a keeper for the back line for this year. But I think we'll wait and see is probably the big thing for me with Holmes. Would like to go primo mid, but I have no DPP for the back line. Yeah, and that was one of the benefits of myself trading out of moving Sheasel to the midfield. A few people have got Sinclair in the midfield as well. So once the time comes, they go back, and then a Sheasel turns into a primo mid, potentially a Bontempelli or something next week. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, just one of the forethought planning and stuff. And these defender rookies are scoring more than the midfield and forward rookies, so it works out okay. Warner Boxall by Trevella. I wouldn't touch Trevella. I think he's in and out of the side too much. Warner Boxall and then out Bison Trevella. Look, Theo, You can do it if you want. You get a keeper. Depends. So the big thing with trading out Bice, and something that I'm a little bit worried about, 2 weeks ago, Bice was a keeper in our teams. This is the problem with people who traded out Jordan Clark last week. Matt Flynn's a little bit different because I think a lot of people just considered him to be a cash generation, which he's done so far. But Bice was a keeper for a lot of people 2 weeks ago. He was averaging like 95 before the 49. He was doing really well, dominating, whatever. So I think it's a little bit preemptive, and I hope that the 49 is just an element, just a apparition. You know what I mean. Same with Jordan Clark. People traded him out last week and then didn't get the 150. So yeah, I don't mind it. Gets you a primo if you hope he's there. A little bit wary, Theo, of trading in Boxall, just for the fact that he's not on the buy and could be dropped next week if Jordan Clark comes. Not Jordan Clark. Clark comes back. Forget his first name, from St Kilda. But yeah, I don't mind it. Warner's going to make cash. Trevelyan, I think, is dead. Bice, cool. If you can move a Sheasel or someone to the back line, let's pretend I want to get Warner in. I want to get Boxall in. Cool. Trade Bice out. Sheasel moves back. Shuffle around the team. It's okay. Yeah, I'm just a little bit wary of getting rid of these guys that still have a bunch of money to make. BJ Williams is named, so Flynn is out for me. Cool. There you go. If that's the way that you want to play it, then fantastic. I'm going to wait a week because I have other things I want to do with my team. Trade SPP or Flynn. I think SPP is the one to go for myself. Flynn playing, it's tough. When you're a number one ruck in a team, regardless if someone else is going to help, it's very hard to trade out a number one ruck. Like, few people traded out Cherry, and look at him now. He's 650k. Not saying that Flynn's going to get to that mark, of course, but when you've got a guy that he's guaranteed basically points, it's just about how he plays. He played Max Gorn last week. If Flynn did not, similar to a Bice, right? Similar to a Clark. If Flynn did not play Max Gorn last week, Flynn would have scored 100. We wouldn't be having this conversation. So it makes it really tough. This is the apprehension that I have with getting rid of a Flynn versus a Pal Pepper who, hey, he was making his, he wasn't ever going to be a forward keeper and was getting pretty close to his average, similar to an Ashcroft. If he gets to 450k, I'm laughing. But if a player comes around that I might have to trade or it gets me a midfielder, then cool. But yeah, that's just kind of how I feel with the Flynn at the moment. If I upgrade Flynn now, it'll be to Miller, like him as a pod. Cool. Otherwise, I hold him and only make one trade this week. Nice, Noah. Sometimes it's good just to make one trade. So if your team is not suffering with cash gen and whatnot, then fantastic there, Michael. No worries. Short to Warner this week. Nice. I think Jaden Short is actually, if you didn't get rid of him like 5 weeks ago, it's not a bad trade there. Short, Jaden Short, yeah. So what, 50k, you get a keeper in your team, hopefully. Yeah, it's time to go. A little bit wary versus him and a bad team because they might be a lot of kickouts this week. But yeah, we'll see what happens there. Is it worth bringing in a mid-defense SPP? Can be a dead rook for looping. No, don't bring in any dead rookies. Don't. I think if this was like round 16, okay. But don't do anything now. A lot of us still have to make a lot of money. I mean, my team value at the moment is 12.4, let's say 12.5 million. It is not enough money, and I physically can't afford to bring in dead rookies. Brock, fingers crossed. Hopefully he stays. At least I get the upgrade on field, but I wouldn't be forcibly bringing in dead rookies into my team. Hey, mate, do you think Flynn to Warner or another mid-rookie under 50 is better? Look, you can. If the only way for yourself to get... The thing with the mid-rookie, with the mid-primo, is that it has to be someone who's undervalued and has to be someone that you know that you're going to be keeping. That's the biggest thing for myself. If you want to trade Flynn to a Lockie Neal, bloody fantastic, go for it. If you want to trade Flynn to a Harry Sheasel, fantastic, go for it. if you want to trade Flynn to someone who might not be top 10 and you're having concerns around, don't do it. Right now, we need to be bringing in the players that are going to be keepers for the year, or at least historically keepers for the year. I think it's a mistake to bring in anyone else across any line. The strength of my team last week, we look at some of the scoring, scored almost 25-50 last week. And the strength of the team was the fact that I did have a few more of these bigger scoring players in my side. Dawson, Merritt, everyone's got Jack McRae, but even guys like Max Gorn and stuff. The bigger level players that on a good week, the ceiling is bonkers. Hence why I might be trying to get Bontempelli in next week. I don't think that bringing anyone else is there. And if we look at midfielders, 1 second. So under 580K. Play the matchups if you can, as much as I say. But who would you be getting in, mate? Who would you be getting in is probably the only thing. If I sort by highest price, potentially a Jai Newcomb, but I'm not set on him being a keeper in the position. Maybe he ends up M11, M12. Harry Sheasel if you don't have. Cool. Yo if you don't have. Liberatore, similar position to a Jai Newcomb. Touk Miller, similar position to a Jai Newcomb. Too late to grab Sarong, probably is in the top, at least top 10, or hopefully anyway. Ed Richards is probably similar to a Jai Newcomb as well, even though he has been scoring quite well. 3-round average of 122. And then the list goes on. And guys like Sinclair, I think, are going to be okay in the backline if their roles don't change. But who would you be getting with the 580K is probably my thing. Can you upgrade somewhere else? Can you do something else and get an extra 5K and grab a Lockie Neal or somebody? It's probably my thing because you want to load up on as many top 8s as you can, top 10s as you can. Because in the buy rounds, we're not going to have a lot of cash, especially my team's not going to have a lot of cash to play around with. I'd rather get the good players now and then not have to force it too much. Bice or Flynn out. Currently, I'm trading neither. I can see warrants for both. If I had to gun to my head, it would probably be Flynn. Bice 2 weeks ago was a keeper for everybody before he's 49. So I'm really wary about trading him now after a poor score. Similar to the people that traded, Jordan Clark last week after a poor score and a few of these other players after a poor score. Like bad score and then goes down. What rookie am I getting in this week? How you doing, James? This week, I've got Sandy Brock in this week, praying that he's not going to be a dead rookie the week after. I don't think he's going to be a sub-risk. He's named on field. But it facilitates me getting Lockie Neal in this week. So if I show my changes for the team, Kako out, Palpepper out. Kako still has a little bit of money to make. I think he's got a break even to 28. But I didn't want to get rid of someone like a Chera, who was in my initial trade plans. So Kako, Palpepper out, gets me Brock. Cool, okay. Some of this money may be fun in a couple of weeks. We'll see what happens. And then a keeper in Lockie Neal, top 8 player. Should have got him last year, but it is what it is. So should have got him last week, but got Petrarca instead. So I need Neal. And that's the only way I can get him without culling the team. So, yeah, works out okay. Yeah. What's my projected score this week? I think at the moment I'm close to 25. If I put Ashcroft on field, Captain Gorn, I think I'm about 25K. So if I go 2,500, so Ashcroft on field, Captain and Gorn, which hopefully the VC goes big for him, 24.97 this week so far. So I think there's a little bit of points to be made in a few of these players. Potentially something from a trainer, potentially something from a Zorko. I mean, Hustwaite on field's only valued at a 45. So if he scores an 80 again, there's a bunch of points as well. So yeah, and hopefully Flynn does a little bit better than a 73 this week. So if I get a 2,500, I think I'm doing okay. I mean, I've got 2 of the biggest scorers for the week so far, and then a Dacos who's let me down a little bit. It is what it is. Yeah, it was funny. There was a point in time where Dacos was going to be my lowest scoring primo or lowest scoring player potentially on field. So yeah, it's an interesting time at SuperCoach land at the moment. Where are we up to? Oh, sorry. Trying to go if I go points or cash gen with Brock and Hustwaite, even though, well, Hustwaite you have to have. I think he's going to be a fine pick for a while, so no dramas there. Gov and Bo back next week. Well, if Bo Allen's back, I don't think he's a key defender, and that's what Sandy Brock plays. So McGovern is the one that would hurt him the most. Potentially an Oscar Allen goes back to the forward line, which means that Gov coming in is okay. It's not terrible. Yeah, but you need Hustwaite regardless. Brayshaw to the moon, mate. There you go. And I posted on Twitter last night. Twitter's a bit of a menace for myself at the moment, but Sarong, slow down. Brayshaw go big, and look what happened. I think he's in Brownlow contention at the moment, even though they did lose. I would hope that he would have got some points, maybe one vote this week. He's just on fire, and I'm very, very happy that I brought him in when I did. My trade history is atrocious, so don't laugh at me too much. Too many players where I spent 5 boosts in 5 weeks just doing stupid stuff. But like guys like Phil Thorpe in and then Phil Thorpe out. Tom Stewart in, Tom Stewart out. But one of the benefits, one of the good things I did do was Brayshaw in at $5.95. So had one price rise, was like, yep, I need Brayshaw in. He's going to go massive. Did that. He's been okay. So, yeah, when did I get rid of Hewitt? Oh, that week. So not too bad. Hewitt for Bice has been fine. Yeah, not too bad there. I'm doing Chera, Flynn, NSPP to Warner Cherry. Nice. And that's what I was saying, James, before about there's a few players that I want to keep in my team at the moment that I don't feel are must-have trade outs. But if you can increase the points on field for your team, do it. It's okay. Who do I start out of? I would pick Hewitt. Hewitt has been on fire. I think he's going to have an okay game versus Richmond. If West Coast can be up and about like I think they will be, and has the potential to go 80 or 90. I think Hustwaite will be okay versus Melbourne, but I think Hewitt is on fire, and I'm very sad that I don't know Hewitt. I'm very, very sad I don't know him. You think we're going TDK to Gawn and picking up TDK after his play? Sure. You can do that if you want to, Alex. I think TDK is still going to be okay. I mean, if TDK scored 110, would you be having the same consideration? Probably not. But if you want him and Gawn, like you want Cherry and Gawn in your team, do it. It's okay. Yeah, it's fine. Hey, how are you? If West Coast don't win this week, they won't win a game this season. Potentially, but they've been around the mark. Like you guys almost beat Essendon. You almost beat a few different teams. Where is SuperCoach and the fixture so far? Filter by team. You'll probably beat North Melbourne, let's be honest. So this game was somewhat close. This game was very close. And then a few of these others as well. So, yeah, you potentially could win this one. Moving down the list, pretty fair going against us in June the 8th as well. And then a few of these other teams as well. So, and then you play Richmond again in round 19. It can happen. Yeah, I wouldn't put yourself down too much, but yeah, not too bad for right now. Captain Bont or Neil, I love Bont. Neil versus North Melbourne is very good. I think he's got an average of one. What is Neil's projected season stats? 125 minimum. 2 years ago, did a 176. He loves Ninja Stadium, so he could be the one to go captain. I think Wardlaw may give him some attention. We don't have Phillips in the team, which is the reason why I brought in Neil this week. It was Phillips in, no Neil. Do what I'm going to do, but Phillips wasn't in. Neil is in. I don't think we're going to tag. We may do a bit of a run with him, but I think Neil is the way to go. Yeah. We play at Optus later in the year. There you go. Already got Merritt, Sheasel, Sinclair, and Neil. Was thinking Warner for the value, but still have Dawson as options. I think Dawson versus Port is going to be okay. He has a fairly good run coming up, but he is cheap still. And that's the thing. This is where you have to start to play it. So Neil goes big this week. Oh, you've got Neil already. Warner. Warner's going to make 30K potentially, unless he goes 170. I don't think Essendon's going to let him go 170. I potentially would say grab Dawson if you think he's going to be a keeper for the year. And currently, I think he's going to be this position. If I look at my midfield left, Sheasel goes to here. I need Bont and Butters, and then one other primo. And then I'm done in the midfield. So I think I'm okay. And yeah, just about waiting at the moment. I've got rookies scoring 80s and 90s, so it's fine. Yeah, if you think Dawson is going to be a keeper for the year, if you think he's going to be a top 8, top 10, grab him. But I don't know if that's the same for an Anderson, if that's the same for a few other options. Warner should be a top 6 or 7 in the forward line, so it's fine that way. Content to boost Chera to Warner. Okay, Chera gone in 3 weeks anyway. I agree. Not a top 8 forward. Warner top 10 forward at worst. Will be a regular. Yep, cool. That's fine. If you can't go up, if you can't go Chera up, similar to an Oliver for myself last week, I went Oliver to Petrarca. And obviously, guy who's not a top 10 midfielder grabbing a top 5 forward. It's basically the same thing for yourself, Daniel. If you can't go Chera up to a better player, like a Bont, Butters, Neil, that kind of type, going sideways to a Warner who's going to be hopefully a keeper for the year, I don't mind it. Great use of a boost. Really good cost effectiveness. And potentially I could have done the same thing for myself this week if I had the boost. It would actually netted me a little bit of cash, which is nice. If I had the boost, Chera to Warner would have been nice for us. Flynn and Davidson to Cherry and Boxall. I love the Cherry. I'm a little bit wary of a Boxall. I would say okay. I think Flynn has a bit of money left to make potentially in him. Davidson's cashed out, so that's fine. Cherry will most likely stay around his points. I think even just projections. So you're really only losing points on field with Cherry. But if you don't care too much about Boxall and he's just a rookie and your bench covers okay and things like that, do the trade. I don't mind it. Cherry, if he scores even big points at this time, he'll need a couple of 180s to really jump in price. You're just missing out on like 120s and stuff. But he should be around this 640, 650 mark for the next however long. So yeah, it's not a terrible be all end all with not having Cherry at the moment, but you do miss out on some points. It gets you a keeper, 2 players who aren't keepers into a keeper, and yeah, I don't mind it. Katie, do the trade. Trading Flynn out instead of SPP now is in the loop. I'm keeping Flynn for at least another week. I think he's probably got an extra 50-ish K plus to make. SPP is probably done. So yeah, that's my feelings on that situation. Tossing between Bont and Butters, and I'm stuck. I would go Bont because of Butters has had his 1 down game and he's more expensive at the moment. High enough break even. I don't know if he's going to go 142 again. And in a couple of weeks, if we scroll down, this 109 is going to start tanking his points. So right now he's got an average of 164, 162, 109. Let's pretend this week versus Adelaide, they're a bit restrictive. He goes 120. The following week versus Geelong, cops the tag, 105. Freo, he goes 130. Projected, he's now dropped 50K versus Bont and Pelly, who is cheaper and things like that. So I would grab Bont first, especially with Bont playing Essendon next week. So I think Bont is projected quite high. So yeah, I would do that as well. Mate, for me in North Melbourne too, it's really interesting. Everyone at work and whatnot says, hey, because we got footy tipping at work. Everyone at work's like, you should tip North Melbourne. They're your team. And like, mate, I never tip North Melbourne. I just don't. So if North Melbourne scores good and ends up winning, fantastic. If I get a tip, then fantastic. So yeah, it works out that there's no negative for myself. It's only if I tip North Melbourne. So all I want from the team is just competitiveness. I think our team is a little bit of a worse position than yours because we want to move up the ladder, whereas you guys are like, hey, we've just culled a bunch of players improvements need to be made, but I don't think there's as much pressure from the fans, or maybe not. But no one thinks that West Coast are not going to be bottom of the ladder. I think a few people at the start of the season thought North Melbourne were going to be a bit higher. Guys, we probably got another 15, 20 minutes. If you guys want to have any questions or anything like that, we've got 101 people watching and like 3 comments. So, yeah, chuck in some more comments, make things happen, and it should be a lot of fun. Thoughts on Boxall? I like him. Just a little bit wary of potentially being dropped next week, which is why I am okay with waiting a week. And it gives me a downgrade for next week as well, because Lorenz won't be on the bubble. Fonte is the only one else who will be on the bubble. So potentially straight out. There could be some finagling with an Oscar Allen going back to the forward line. So we'll wait and see. But at the very least, he's going to make me a bunch of money this week. Should score more than a 35, you'd think, and hopefully holds. If not, 2 or 3 weeks, we offload him, get 80K for a mid-season rookie. Hey, Aaron, mate, hope you're doing well. Not so sure about Chinese babies smoking, but yeah, doing very, very good. Is Ninja a company? I think, is it Ninja Finance? Who sponsors Hobart Stadium? Yeah, Ninja has the stink. What is it? Tasmanians, the summer. Home and beauty appliance leader. So, you know, like your Ninja Bullet and your Ninja like blender and all those kind of things. That is Ninja. So there you go. Whenever you go buy a Ninja Bullet, you know, hey, it's Ninja. They sponsor Tasmania. Major team changes? No, I don't think so. I think we're okay. Saints are a good chance to win tonight. Definitely. I think I tipped Saints this week. So hopefully they're a good team. Who to bring in if Boxall sub? I think it's already come out that... 1 second. Let's go. Come on, computer. Collard will be the sub. Cooper Lord the sub. So it sucks. Matt Carroll is out. Hopefully he comes back, though. I guess there's no interchange changes. I think Francis Evans will be out next week because he's not very good. And yeah, we'll see what happens with them. Collard sub. There you go. Pryor and Flynn to Rankin and Boxall. Okay, cool. Not too bad. Similar to my other trading as well. And I assume that Pryor out in the back line means that maybe, Nick, you can move a Sheasel or someone to their player. Boxall not sub. Fantastic. There you go. Gives me a downgrade option next week if he's named. Hey, big fellow, looking more at next week, Sinclair. Oh, Dawson first. Look, I would probably say Dawson. If you can't get him this week, next week is still okay. Sinclair has me really worried. This new role change is not great. He's named in the back line this week, so maybe things happen, but his 3-round average is atrocious. Like, it is terrible. His break-even is 131. Still got a bunch of money left to lose. We'll taper out at probably 515K, which I think he started the season. Where is he? Started the season at 592, got up to 539. And I was like, mate, I hate the fact that I don't own Sinclair. And then it's just dropped in cash. So, yeah, I'm more than happy to just wait. Could even get to, with some of these projections, to the 500K mark, which isn't great. Should be around the mark, top 6 to 8 defender, which is fine. Yeah, we'll see what happens. He's named in the backline. Initiator is saying should say that, but people are trading. I mean, people are trading out Caleb Daniel as well. So, yeah, we'll see what happens with that. Dawson, I think, has a fairly good run next. And he's up on the rise instead of losing cash. People are saying he should do okay against Adelaide, so we'll see what happens. Last time they played, 143. Plays Collingwood next week, and then West Coast. So you'd hope he does all right against West Coast. Plays West Coast, plays Sydney, and then has Hawthorn, Richmond, Melbourne, Western Bulldogs and stuff. So if he's back, he's back. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Sud could be his DPP. It's a def downgrade. Yeah, definitely. It's more just if he plays, to be honest. Yeah, it's more just if he plays, which I think is probably the big thing for him. Seems to be made the sub quite a lot. I don't know if it's Endurance, maybe he's just not there yet. Big jump from VFL to AFL. He doesn't seem the super high impact forward like they generally like to have in SuperCoach. So in the AFL is that type of player. We'll see what happens. Still shooting with Archer Reed next week. Lindsay to Box or Archer Reed to Warner. Yeah, potentially. If you've got him in the forward line, then that works. No dramas there. Lindsay to Box. I think Lindsay still has a fair amount of money to make. Low break even, good projected score. I think this week is the week where he's 9. Yeah, so his 9's out of the system now. He might even get to 500, like not 500, he might even get to 300-ish K. So Hawks, cool, scores a 60. Brisbane, let's say another 60. A 60 is not hard. Like a 60 is not bad. Sydney, 65. St Kilda versus them, 60. Cool, projected. Is now 290, 300K. So, yeah, a little bit wary, but if it gets your primo, then okay. I'd be more offloading guys like Pal Pepper, who've made as much money as they can, and it gets you into a primo. Ninja Pizza Oven, I want one. There you go. Worst case scenario, Brock to Boxall next week. Well, yeah, there you go. There you go. I'm not sure who it will be for myself. Worst case scenario for me, the trade plans were Bice out, Chera out, grab Bont and Boxall. I can facilitate that with a Sheasel moving to the back line and just field Lindsay and Hustwaite on field. Potentially that could be the trades or doing some other things with the team. So we'll see what happens with that. But I'm just waiting for team sheets next week. Never to hold, I wouldn't. Todd, there's a few other players coming through the system. You could even go never to Boxall next week and just make some money. The crucial thing is as well, in the next few weeks, we're going to have 3 trades. I know I've only got 19. It is what it is. But in the next few weeks, we're going to have 3 trades. And we need to start planning to make some real money. And if Never's a dead rookie, I'd rather get in. You make 70-odd K going down to a Boxall. Boxall may make that money back in a week. Like Hustwaite, the way that he's projected, he's going to be Nevitt's price next week. Like straight up. If he scores a 45, he's going to be Nevitt's price next week. So Boxall could be in a similar position after a score this week. It could be a must-have. Hey, I could go Camperelli to Boxall and just say, cool, not going to upgrade. The team scored really well last week. Camperelli to Boxall, picks up some more players on my field. I'm done. The money and the point swing is a lot better. So I would say get rid of Nevitt. You need as many playing players as you can to start facilitating some upgrades over the bye rounds because people need it. And I think Nevitt's cooked. Hello, good luck this week. Hey, thanks, mate. Zero, hope you're doing well. Should I go Flynn and Lindsay to Hust and Dawson? Trade sounds good. Flynn and Lindsay. But I have 6 red dots and could go Nevitt and Long and El Campo to Hust and Hayes Fonte. Look, if cash gen is a big problem, like it's sounding like from your comment that it is, I would do the dots. As I said with as I said with Todd, you need to start generating some cash, and I think that's the way to go. So I would say try and do the dots. Flynn could go up 20K. Dawson could go up 20K. And Lindsay could go up 20K. So you're not even losing out on that. Maybe Dawson goes 500. Cool, you've lost out. But in terms of cash gen, I would get rid of the rookies this week if you're in a really bad situation. Hustwaite is a must-have, and then it's whoever else you want to go. Be it a Boxall, I think Fonte has a better job security if you've got the space. Cool, go and do it. Sink to bounce back tonight, hopefully, and then hopefully he does. Tapers out at 520K, and then I've got an interesting conversation with myself next week. Chad or Dawson. If you had to this week, gun to your head, probably Chad Warner. He could end up catching Dawson's price in 2 weeks, but I'm a little bit wary of him versus Essendon, who like to throw in a couple of tags and things like that. Warner, Rankin, or Dawson. If you don't have Rankin, you need him in your team. We've been very blessed by the fact that he is been this price for a very long time. We check out his season stats. He has been around the 500K mark for a very, very long time, but he has a break even now of 48. So next week he could end up being 540, 550, and then the week after that a little bit more as well. So he may be the one that gets away with you. And I think Adelaide have a few players, like a few easy matchups coming up. Hoodie, how you doing, Hoodie? What would you do with the 50K, mate? I don't even know. I don't think I'm going to win it. What would I do? Let me put it down. Like deposit on a house is probably the biggest thing. When you get old, nice to buy your own house. So yeah, probably that. Buy a new computer and doing some stuff. So we'll see what happens. What would you do, Dawson or Merritt this week then? Sydney. Merritt could cop the James Jordan tag this week. So there is that kind of situation. I don't want to put you in the wrong position here. Merritt will be 610K if he hits his projection next week. And 600K is a lot harder to get in than 540K, which is probably my defining thing. Merritt going to be a top 8 keeper for the year. Dawson is on the mark. I think a lot of people are blinded by his 156. So Dawson at 540 or Merritt at 610 next week. I would probably go Merritt this week. Here's the one. Sard's not quite at the level. There you go. Huge press on Effingham from the critics. There you go. And they need to do something now with Jones out and then Ridley out as well. Jackson like to finish top potentially. It just depends on what happens. But if we look at this forward line, right? I'd like to think I've got 4 of the top 6 forwards. Petrarca, Rankin, Smith, McRae locked in. Potentially Caleb Daniel is one. Warner is another. Horn Francis is another. Heck, even a Marek could be one as well. And then a Jackson. So it might be these are the top 4. And then there's 4 or 5 other players after that to make up the last 2 spots. So Jackson will be there. We know he's scoring being solo ruck. I'm not sure how long Darcy's going to be out for. The DPP swing is nice. It's fantastic. But we may even get guys like Bontempelli in the forward line. I think there was an article coming out today about Ashcroft potentially getting forward status and a few others as well. So that top 8 situation could open up quite a lot. SPP to Warner or Flynn to Dawson. I like the Warner trade. I reckon SPP to Warner is better. 20 trades ain't much to make cash and finish the squad. Potentially. We'll see. But Bice plus 150K equals a primo in the back line. Zach Reed, potential keeper, at least going to get to 400 plus K. Hopefully trainers in a position. We'll do okay. I think if I had to go 1 up, if I had to go 2 down, 1 up, it would be in a lot worse situation initiator. But I think the way the team's going now, it should be okay. We'll see. We'll see how we go. That should be fine. I mean, if Patton gets to 210, let's pretend Patton gets to 210K. Patton plus Ashcroft equals a premium here. Flynn plus anywhere on field equals a primo. And then it's just cash gen here to 1 and 1 down for some of these players. So it's not too bad. Bice about to top out potentially. But he might top out this week and then jump back up again. Like he's already jumped up. Opposition has him there. Cool. If he scores an 88 this week, he tapers around the same price for 2 weeks. He can score 80s. And then Blammo jumps back up in scoring again. Like I said at the start of the stream, he was a keeper for everyone 2 weeks ago. So, especially with the way the defenders are scoring, if we have a quick look at defender averages, there's like a couple of players who are scoring 110s and then a bunch of guys scoring 90s. Yeah, I think we can get away with him potentially being there. I don't think like guys like Bailey Dales are going to be keepers for the year. So if Bice can score 80s and 90s for the next couple of weeks, he's going to jump up in cash again, get to about 450K, and then we'll reassess from there. But that's why I'm like, hey, a little bit wary of trading him and a Flynn this week. Reassess after the next couple of games, and we'll see what happens. Thoughts on Luke Jackson in the coming weeks? Assess, wait and see for a Darcy, how long he's out for, and then kind of go from there a little bit, I think. But could be a nice forward keeper. You've just got to compete with like Petrarca, Warner, Horn Francis, and a few others. He's going to be a super pod, but all those guys have the potential to go 120s, 130, 140. So it makes it tough having him. Cheers, mate. There you go. Short has been a letdown. Yep, 100%, Michael. Upgrade with Short. Don't downgrade. So Short to Warner, 50K done. If you want to do that. Short to Petrarca, Short to someone else. But don't downgrade. Don't lose yourself points on field if you can. Bice to Fonte next week, potentially. Or one of these guys, or skip on a Fonte. I just want to see what happens. Good, mate. There you go. How you doing? See you, JCR. Hope you're doing well, mate. Have a good night. Marshall, Boxall in. Marshall's last 7 scored. Cool. Joel, love it. Big Blues fan. Joel's always kills us tonight. He's head-to-head with the guy that the Saints want to recruit. It will be interesting. I think TDK spanks him. There you go. Enjoy. Thinking of undoing my TDK to Bont. If you have Chera, I would do Chera instead. Initiator. But, yeah, I don't mind it. I think it's okay. He has been in my keeper plans since the start of the season, and the only time that I said he wouldn't be was if Pitnet comes back. So, makes it hard to offload him. Hoping he can make a quick 20K. All right, done. Thinking Bice can easily turned up again. Yeah, and that's my thing. So imagine if you forced Bice out of your team this week, and then the next 3 weeks it goes bang, bang, bang. It's the same people that traded out Zach Reed. The same people that traded out a bunch of these players. And then they just ton up again and again and again. Like, it's a bad game. We saw what happened with Clark. Like, he's not on the level of Clark, but he could be. People traded him out, went big. Bice could easily go big this week. We saw what happened with people like myself who traded out Roberts as well. So, it's a rough one. Michael, thanks for your time. Mate, anytime, guys. We've got 100 people on, and I've got 2 comments left. I'll be on stream for the next, let's say 20 minutes. If we can get the interaction from you guys, like, share, subscribe if you haven't already. Really helps out the channel. Costs you guys nothing to be able to do it. But if we can get a few more comments in, I'm more than happy to stay around till 7:20, and then I'll head off from that. If not, that will be us for now. So, yeah, just let me know, guys. More than happy to help, throw some ideas around, give you guys some philosophy, talk about life, talk about everything. So, yeah, chuck in some comments there if you can. Who are my top 6 defenders? Well, I hope I own 4 of them. I hope I have Whitfield, the keeper. Jordan Clark, was a little bit skeptical with him, just the way he scores, but he's around the mark now. Zorko there, cool. Even with who got kicked out this week from Brisbane? Mr. Irishman got kicked out this week. Yeah, so no Connor McKenna this week, so Zorko could go better as well, which should be cool. Those 3, Sheasel definitely in there, and then it's really a toss-up between the 2. If we go over to Footy Wire, have a look at the top defenders, average score. I think Nazaya has to be in. We could have got him around the price, but I think he definitely is going to be there depending on what happens with Sinclair. Last price could be a Sinclair. Last price could be half a dozen of these players. Could end up being Roberts, could end up being a Bailey Dale. Yeah. I think even Lockie Ash could be a sneaky pod that no one ever has. So, yeah, he was very cheap at a point in time as well. What was he? 456K. If he started Ash, he'd be laughing. So, yeah, bit of a rough one there. Went double up, Chera and Gorn. Nice. Yeah, if you want to do that, no dramas. Lindsay to Warner rather than Bice or a Flynn. This means I have to get a Brock. Look, I wouldn't. I think Lindsay is going to bounce back in money. People got rid of him last week. Got rid of him before, but I think he can easily get to 300K. I'm a little bit wary of doing that, especially in my team, just given the cash generation issues. So if your team's a lot better, cool. Go and do it. There's no problems. But I would not be forcing him right now. Lincoln, hope you're doing well, mate. I'm ranked 39th. Mate, I'm coming for you, ranked 260. What do you think of Caleb Daniel? We're thinking of jumping off to Dunkley this week. Look, if you've got a Warner or someone in here that you can move to the forward line and offload to a Caleb Daniel, okay. I understand. It seems to be the big theme of the week at the moment. Everyone's going anti-pod Caleb Daniel. I understand. He's been pumping out a couple of poor scores, not being the best. If it's the thing that you need to do this week, fantastic. Go and do it. Personally, I'm waiting in terms of him. But I can see a world where it does happen. Similar to a Chera situation for myself, where, he's a guy in my midfield that I probably won't keep forever. Daniel may be a situation like that for me, but I'm happy to run him at F7. Worst case scenario, he ends up being a jump between on the defense, in forward line and midfield. Cool. But Dunkley's in a really sweet spot at the moment. So if you've got the boost, if you've got the extra trades, you want to do something different. Maybe you get an extra 20 points off of Daniel and it gets you up to the top of the league. Cool. Fantastic. So definitely worth doing that as well if you can. I would pick Hustwaite. Lindsay's playing on the wing. Hustwaite is playing as a follower. So 100% Hustwaite. And just the higher average at the moment. I think Lindsay's probably good for a 60, 65. Hustwaite has been dominating. No Will Day. No Connor Nash. Last couple of scores of 80s and 75. So I think he's probably going to book better. Track or Warner this week. Well, what's Track? So Warner this week, if he scores his projected, is going to be about 5'10". Petrarca, I think, is back. And Petrarca has a break-even of 50. So if he scores a 119 versus Hawthorn, we'll see. Could end up getting away from you a lot harder. Petrarca at 550k is a lot harder to get than Warner at 510. So I would probably get Petrarca this week if you can. Best pick so far, mate, it's probably Brayshaw. I got Brayshaw in round. We're talking about players that I traded in. I think Brayshaw got him 585k. Has now made a bunch of points. And then 150 this week. Seems to be good for a 150 every week. Can't believe I didn't start him. Has only had one game of not 100, and I got him in round 5, I think. So, yeah, so I got him in just after his first price rise. Got him in round 4. So 155, 120, 157, 87, and then the 154 this week. So Brayshaw is definitely that player for me. Father-son rule. Look, I think, yes. All right. I have a feeling like I would put the fact that teams can guarantee that they get the player over making them cheaper. I would almost say if you want to guarantee a father-son, take away the percentage of making the player cheaper. No more 20% at a minimum. Just be like, cool, you've got guaranteed access. You have to pay wherever he's paid. No more 20%, no more 10%. With how good father-sons are at the moment anyway, I think that would be a perfect. Same with academies. Guarantee that the player can come to your club or you can bid on the bid, but take away the percentage. Make it a bit fairer for clubs. Because it's been a case of Dacos gets picked up, pick 3, or Ashcroft gets picked up, pick 3, and they give away 2 picks in the 40s to get Ashcroft in. Take away the percentage, making them cheaper. That's it. That would be a good start, I think. And we'll see how that kind of goes. Maybe Gold Coast can't get all of their 8 academy kids this year. Maybe. If Gold Coast players love playing in the Gold Coast, maybe they can request a trade back. But they shouldn't be just facilitating getting everyone in all the time, spending no trades to get it in. And then, cool, a bad team's got a top 5 pick. Our father-son's requested this. Let's offload him, and then we trade 2 picks in the 40s for the player. Like, it just doesn't work. Who loses more money this week, Whitfield or Sinclair? Well, we know Sinclair's break-even is 130, so we just need to hope that he scores big. Whitfield's is a 139, so potential 15% cash drop. Want both, but scared Whitfield. Yep. So I would pick Whitfield first because it's a lot harder to get 600k than it is to get 520k. And if Whitfield goes big, you're going to struggle to get him in. So Whitfield first, Sinclair should drop in money. It's a lot easier to get 500k. Heck, Ashcroft plus like a Lindsay equals Sinclair next week. So yeah, that's the position that I would do. Pryor, Flynn out, Boxall and Warner. Look, I don't mind it, but I've been a big advocate at the moment of keeping Flynn. I would trade Pal Pepper instead if you have him. 5 rookies to go in behind. What have I got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, you're fine. As long as they're good, and I said this before, Great Graven, as long as your rookies are okay, as long as the players are fine, as long as you've got guys who, on a good day, can outscore players on a bad day, 100%, you're in an okay position. It's all about maximizing cash gen and getting the good points on field. Last week, Dacos scored 89, Brayshaw scored 87. Levi Ashcroft scored 99. Zach Reed scored 102. Heck, even Trainer almost outscored these two primos. Obviously, this week it was a little bit different, but don't put the fact that you've got 5 rookies left as bad. This year, the rookies are scoring insane numbers. Hewitt, SPP, Ashcroft, a few of these other guys have been putting up almost primo level in the scoring. Don't feel bad about being a couple of points behind. It's okay to hold these guys. It's okay to field them. It's just about maximizing cash on the field and getting the amount of guys that you can have as keepers in your side that you don't have to trade. My team, for example, if this is what it was coming into this week, I would be okay with keeping Zach Reed and potentially a Trainer and offloading a Chera. These guys have money to make. Ashcroft's got money to make. Hustwaite, Lindsay have got money to make. Chera's going to lose money and isn't a keeper for the year. That's kind of the priorities that I've got. Even with Flynn, I think he can make a little bit of money as well. And same with the Bice. So that's kind of the prioritization of players at the moment for myself. Flanders close watch next few weeks. Well, how has Flanders been going? Sam Flanders, 459. I don't think his scoring's been there for myself, but potentially in the forward line. Yeah, it's not great. I would rather get like a Sinclair or a Naz. It's the same people. Like someone tried to convince me to go and get Dylan Moore and say Dylan Moore's a keeper. And I'm like, mate, you're paying up for crap. I think Sinclair, you're paying up for crap as well. Like, sorry, not Sinclair, Flanders, you're paying up for crap. Like, we've got forward line keepers at 500K. The team's changed. Flanders is not the same guy as he was last year. So I don't think he's going to be there. And he's going to get to 300K, like, on projections. So I'd rather get guys that I'm confident are going to score 100 points every week, even a Marek, who's around the mark, then, cool, I've got to force Sam Flanders in my team. It doesn't work. How many trades do you think are the buy rounds? It depends. My buy round structure at the moment is okay. Round 12, I've got 3-4 players. Round 13, I've got 2. Round 14, 1, 2, 3 players. Round 15, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hustwaite probably isn't going to be there anymore. Hopefully, you've got another player in there, so some coverage. But that's round 15, yeah. Like, it's a while away. And hopefully mid-season draftees come in before round 15, so we've got some more playing players. And then round 16 is probably the nasty one for myself, with a couple of Brisbane players and stuff in there. So, yeah, it's fine. If you can get 18 primos every week, you're doing very well. I think it's doable. But if you can get like 16 primos and then some rookies who are going to score okay, like I've been saying, right? Max Hall last week. What did Max Hall score last week? Just as an example, right? Max Hall last week scored a 74. So 74 last week was like 20 points off Nick Dacos. Like, if you've got a rookie that can score okay numbers, it's okay. It's just about having more playing players. That's kind of what it is. Primos will score big. Primos will score worse. Get as many top 8, 10s as you can in your team. That's probably the biggest priority, and then have playing rookies. That's all it is. And we saw last year, I had Humphreys, I had Logan Evans, and a few others, and they were putting up primo numbers coming out of mid-season draftees. So finish the first of the team, get enough playing players on the bench, and you'll be okay. Flynn, SPP to Marshall and Track. Yep, I don't mind that. Both, I think Flynn's got a little bit of cash to make, but if you can get Marshall, who's going to be a keeper for you for the year, no worries. And SPP to Track, similar situation. So very good trades. Ryan, beautiful. Trade Chera and Daniel. Daniel, both are going to be out of the game. I would trade Chera. Daniel does not have as much of a high break even. Yeah, I reckon he can score a 92 on a good game. The ball's going to be North Melbourne's defense a lot of the game, so Daniel should get majority kickouts. I think Chera is going to be very hard pressed today to get a 130. So he'll be under 500k. I would trade Chera first. I do have Warner to move forward, and both Chera and Daniel are out this week. Cool. Nice work, Lincoln. Which one of Stone, Moraes, Seahall, or Kako would you trade? Playhall. Well, look, I've traded out Kako because it's facilitated a trade for myself and allowed me to get a big player in. He's the most expensive of the bunch, but he's still playing. So if you're okay with doing that, I would do Kako. If it gets you the best player. The other ones probably don't have much job security. I know that Moraes has come back this week. Lorenz shouldn't have been dropped. He's probably the safest out of all of them. Connor Stone, the DPP is fantastic. Obviously, this week for myself, let's pretend Freo didn't have a monster game. A lot of people would be really struggling for a loophole this week. I'm okay. I've got Connor Stone. So that's kind of where I'm feeling. But if your cash gen on the bench is really bad, I would get rid of one of the guys who aren't playing first. Hopefully that helps. Thinking of double down next week. Yep, cool. Getting rid. I really like it, Kevin. I think it's fantastic. Let's pretend Fonte does really well this week. Super low break even. Cool. 100%. Need him into your team. Doesn't have a round 12 bye, so he's going to be okay. Boxall, similar position. If both of these guys next week, plan to have them into your teams next week because both of them could end up shooting up in cash. There's still like 4 weeks left. So if we go here, right, we have a bit of a look. Both of them start making money in round 10. Boxall, 2 weeks of cash gen could be 100k plus. We'll see what happens, but could be 100k. Fonte, I think he's got round 14 or 15 by, maybe even round 16. Like, that's a bunch of money again. This is the time where we need to make all the cash. We need as much money as you can. So look to downgrade these players. There's no forcible. I don't have to force any trades next week. I could bring in 2 rookies and I'd be happy. Bice makes some money. Everyone's making money, scoring okay. Chero would be the only one that I really need to force out of the team. In my situation, even if Brock gets dropped next week, if Carroll's named, Brock out for Fonte, I've done okay. Grab a Boxall for Camporelli. Everyone on my bench is playing and making money. We need to jump on these players as quick as we can. Get some good cash gen for the buy rounds. That extra 80 to 90k, because we've got 3 trades and mid-season draftees coming in. Remember, mid-season draftees, they're rookie selections. They're 99k, unless there's someone who's played already. I think Parker used to play for St Kilda, used to play for Richmond. He was a little bit more inflated because he's played AFL. But generally, his players are 99k. Getting 80k out of Matt Carroll is okay. It hurts. It's not 150k, but it's okay. You do 2 of those, and now Bice becomes a primo. You know, Patton, the same thing. It's great he's playing, but let's pretend he's not playing. I'm still getting 60-odd K out of a player and getting someone who's guaranteed to play. Like, mid-season draftee picks, the players you want are the ones that you want to get in. But I don't think it's going to be like, you need to maximize the cash gen you can now. And if that means you bring in Fonte and then in 4 weeks you trade him off to a mid-season draftee and you bank 150k, perfect. It doesn't matter. It's okay. If you can, we're in a position with our teams at the moment where you can go 1 up, 1 down, and you're very, very happy. So plan to do that. The extra trades you've got left to do it. If you finish the buy rounds with like 6 trades, a full primo team, guys who are top 10 in all their positions, and a few playing rookies, mate, whew, you're set. You're lucky, ready to go. Philippou and Coleman, when they come back, general options. No, I would not. I would not. Philippou, potentially, he'll make you a little bit of money, but we're at the point now where we need 600k players in our teams. I would not be doing that. If you've got someone like, let's pretend Chera is one to trade off in my side, I would not be downgrading Philippou to Chera. I would be trying to upgrade the points on field instead of getting rid of the players. I think it's too late. I really think it's too late. If these guys were 200k, cool, I understand. But Kadeem Coleman's 270. Philippu's 300. Like, it's not Canelio coming back and becoming a primo again. You'd have to be guaranteed that these players are going to be primos for you to keep them. That's the only problem. We need cash. We've got players on field who are going to get to the money. They're going to get to the primo price that you can offload them. I need cash. Father-son have been more development into... Yeah, potentially. They already... And then a lot of the father-sons also go to private schools and things like that as well. So you know what type of player you're going to get. We don't need to be discounting Levi Ashcroft or Will Ashcroft 20%. Like, we don't need to be doing it. The club knows what kind of really good player they're going to get. They're getting elite players. They don't need to be 20% cheaper. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Then maybe they never change the father-son rule, but take away the 20%. Yeah. The AFL's like, hey, we need to make them good. We forced Dimmer Hardwick into the team and they still can't win games. So kind of sucks. To make it so you got to give up a first-round pick for a father-son. Potentially. Just depends on where they are. Joe. So Joe is not here. Joe was on the live stream last night, which is fantastic. If you guys go over to True Footy, Joe is actually on the True Footy channel today. He's been brought on as a special guest. I don't think he was ever actually going to be on this live stream. I kind of just did it because I'm at home alone at the moment, so I had some free time. But Joe's over on True Footy, so when the game happens, I would love if you guys came in, even if it was 2 seconds, and say, hey, Big J from the Centre Bounce sent me. Put a comment in the chat. They would go bananas. Would love for you guys to be able to do that. Yeah, he's off doing True Footy at the moment. He'll be back on the show, normal stuff. Unfortunately, he doesn't do Mondays anymore because of Fancast. But yeah, he'll be on Thursdays and then the members live stream on Tuesday as normal. Trainer buys Husway. Yeah, it's fine. Dudley, probably the one that you need to start thinking about getting rid of, but the other guys are okay. Pre-draft application. Yeah, there you go. So you know who's going to be gone before the actual draft. Well, like, a lot of the time, and it's a reason why Nick Dacos, Ashcroft, and so forth, they don't even get selected till like the 5th and 6th picks now, because teams know they're going to the club, whatever they're going to, and there's not a pressure to actually punish other teams because they're 20% cheaper. Like, imagine if it was like, cool, all right, Brisbane, you have a chance of losing Ashcroft because you can't match the bid. So maybe you can't trade out all your first and second rounders for premium level players from other clubs and then still have enough money for 2 father-sons. Maybe you can't do that this year. I think it would make things a lot more fairer. Max Hall over Cleary, no loop, probably. Hall has been scoring quite well. Cleary versus Essendon, I don't know. So I think Max Hall's okay. Club notes, yeah, and that's it. G'day, Big J. How you doing, Velo? What's this live stream? How did I miss this? I just posted it. I just said, hey, got an hour or so, about to hit an hour and a half. Just jump on here. Thought I'd check out some of the teams, see how people's going, whatnot, and yeah, have a bit of fun. If that's cost first round pick. But that's what I'm saying. So if Ashcroft goes pick 1, you have to match it. In proper points. Don't bring in, don't make it cheaper. That's all I'm saying. You can make it up. Have like a pick 16 and a pick 25 and you get Ashcroft. Cool. If clubs want, if Ashcroft is desperate to go play where his dad played, request a trade, man. Like, it's okay. Trading players should be normal. Shouldn't be like hoodoo. Oh, we traded a player. He hates the club. Blah, 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 blah. Loyalty, whatever. But make it normal. The NFL doesn't care about trading players. English Premier League doesn't care about trading players. Why does the AFL? Why is it hoodoo to trade a player? Hust and Cherry or Hust and a rookie for cash gen. Well, Hustwaite's the only guy on the bubble outside of Sandy Brock. So I would go Hust and Cherry for yourself, fellow. Better in J. Zorko versus Dale. Sinclair, all positive negatives. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't go Sinclair. I think he's going to drop in price a bit more. I think Zorko, he's probably around where he is. I like him versus North Melbourne. And Dale is a bit of a wish-wash. I think if teams let him run, then he scores very well. But I'm not convinced Dale is going to be a top 6 to 8, or at least the top 6. So I would go Zorko. I don't think Kadeem Coleman is going to come in. It's going to hurt him that much. Guys, probably got 5 minutes left. Get Velo, there you go, price himself out. I think Cherry stays around 640K. Hopefully I can facilitate that. I mean, I can do it right now if I've got... If Ben... Let's pretend, right? If Ben Patton ends up being a keeper, it won't happen. But if Ben Patton ends up being there, Ashcroft, Flynn equals Cherry. Cool. You understand. If Lindsay gets to 300k, Flynn gets to 400k, I can go Lindsay and Flynn into Cherry. Into Cherry. I don't think it's going to affect the price too much, but Cherry should be around the 650k mark. I don't think he's going to jump up. I don't think he's going to have 180k games, especially as like guys like Wardlaw and stuff have come into the team. The amount of points that gets shared around is slowly going to diminish a little bit for him. The temptation is strong to trade, but not. There you go. That's the big thing too. Cripps a potential future option. He's just under 500k now. Look, him and Hewitt are the ones that get a lot of the ball, which is why I'm okay with trading Chera as well. Chera as well. I'm fine with it. I think it's going to be okay. But yeah, I think definitely. It's just more about Archie. Have to have a look at who's going to be a top 8 to 10 for the year, because they're the guys that you want to be able to score and doing very well. I'm not convinced Cripps is going to be there. I'm convinced Brayshaw, Dacos, Merritt, Lockie Neal, Bont, Butters, potentially Jordan Dawson, and then one other are going to be there. And Cripps, he becomes a bit selfless, and he has games where he's happy to be tagged if it means the team's doing well. He's happy to pass off to Hewitt and do all these other things, hence some of his poorer scoring. And I'm really wary of that happening to him again, which is why I'm a little bit like that. Holding Flynn, holding him at least for this week. Hopefully he can have a bounce back even with BJ Williams named. I think Richmond going to give up a lot of points to West Coast this week, and hopefully Flynn can pop a bit of that. There's no pressure to get rid of him. I wasn't going to get rid of him last week. I think he can still make a lot of money if he's named and he's still the number 1 ruck, which I think he will be over BJ Williams. We'll see. If he scores like a 35 next week, cool. I'll cop it. He'll lose a little bit of money, and then I'll look to offload him to another primo on field. Whereas this week, I felt like Cal Pepper was a bigger trade out than Flynn. So I got rid of Cal Pepper instead. If I had the money to get rid of both, things may have been a little bit different, but I may have just traded Chera to Warner and finish off the forward line. So, yeah. Nice, Velo. Good job. Make sure you get Hustwaite, though, yeah, because Hustwaite's going to rise up in cash, so you don't need to worry. Cripper isn't a great Supercoach pick, more for fantasy. His disposal efficiency is not great either. Chera and Carroll, okay, Track and Brock. A little bit wary of getting rid of Carroll. I think he was named emergency, number 1 emergency, and should be okay. So he probably comes back next week. But if it gets you Track, similar to myself with Kako, I'm okay getting Brock in, sacrificial lamb in your team. It gets you a good player. Guys, last 2 questions here. No late changes tonight. There you go, Velo. Kennedy an option? Look, potentially. But he really needs to be a keeper. I assume you're going to pick him into the forward line. And I don't think he beats out Petrarca. I don't think he beats out Rankin. I don't think he beats out Smith. McRae, similar as well. Maybe not a Marek. Maybe not Chad Warner. Maybe not Horn Francis as well. So, yeah, there's like this many players that are ahead of Kennedy in my eyes at the moment, and we can only field 6. So, there you go. Hust was a must-get this week. There you go. Guys, it has been an amazing time. Hopefully, you guys have had a bit of fun. Probably keen to do another one of these next week as well. We'll see what happens. If you can already, like, share, subscribe, punch that like button. Costs you nothing. Takes you 2 seconds. We'll see you with our results of how my team went on Sunday. I'll try and get that out for you on Sunday. And then live stream on Monday night, 7 o'clock. Members live stream at 6 o'clock on Tuesday, and then the drive home on Thursday. Have a good weekend. Supercoach at that, having fun. If you missed out on Brayshaw, it's okay. Max Gorn's a good selection as long as you've got the loot. Have a good one, fellas. Catch you in the next one.